What to look for when lost. 𝙽𝚘𝚜, 2nd of March 2022. I liked mingling with people. As soon as I left the orphanage, I started working at 2-Star Burger as a part-timer. I had to deal with countless people, smile constantly, and always look energetic. I loved that job. There'd been few things that made me smile or feel energetic in my life. I came across many more bad people than good people. That must have been why I enjoyed that job so much. While always squeezing out a laugh, deliberately speaking in a higher tone, and pretending to be cheerful in front of the customers, I actually did change. I felt better after laughing out loud and became more kind-hearted through working hard to serve customers in a friendly way. Of course, there were tough days. It took all my energy to take each step on my way home at the end of the day. Sometimes I suffered from bullying customers, but I just smiled and laughed. Laughing gave me new energy. I graduated from high school in February. A high school diploma didn't bring much change. It only let me work more hours at the burger joint. I made a little bit more money, but it still wasn't enough to move to a better room. With the start of the new semester, 2-Star Burger was crowded with freshmen looking dazed and upperclassmen trying to look mature. They were all cute. We used to be like them once. What are the others up to? I thought of them from time to time. The last time I saw 𝙽𝚘𝚜 was the beginning of summer vacation. He seemed to be avoiding me, so I kept my distance. I heard later that he transferred to another school. Yoongi, as usual, didn't respond to our calls, and no one knew what happened to Namjoon. 𝙽𝚘𝚝, who was particularly fond of Namjoon, began to ditch school at some point and was said to be in and out of the police station for drawing graffiti on the street. Jungkook occasionally appeared in front of the glass door of the burger joint. It seemed like he was always getting into fights, as he usually had cuts and bruises on his face. As for Jimin, the last time I saw him was when he was wheeled out of the emergency room. The memories of that day frequently crossed my mind and haunted me. Did I do something wrong? Did I miss something? Another customer stepped into the store. I inhaled deeply and greeted him in a high tone. I smiled a big smile and looked down towards the door. It was someone I knew. Taeyang, 29 of March 2022. After the owner of the gas station spit on the ground and left, I just continued to lie there, punch tapped on the ground. He had caught me drawing graffiti on the back wall, and he beat me mercilessly. I thought I was used to getting hit, but it turned out I wasn't. I started painting graffiti some time ago. I thought Leslie sprayed paint on a wall from a can someone had thrown away. The yellow paint sprayed onto a grey wall stood out distinctly. The sight felt oddly uneasy. I picked up another paint can and sprayed it over the yellow paint. I didn't like it either. Soon, I had used up all the cans. After the last one ran out, I threw it on the ground and stepped back. I was out of breath as if I had just sprinted at full speed. I didn't know what the colors of the wall signified. I also didn't know what I had drawn and why I had drawn it. but I could tell that it showed the state of my mind. I had sprayed my mind onto the wall. At first, I thought it was ugly and dirty and stupid, useless and pitiful. I didn't like it. I rubbed out the wet paint with the palm of my hand. I wanted to erase it all. The layers of paint smudged and blended together to create more combinations of colors, but I couldn't erase them. I sat down and leaned against the wall. It didn't matter whether I liked it or not. It didn't matter whether it was ugly or beautiful. It was just there as a part of me. I sat upright and began to cough. Blood splattered onto the palm of my hand. Someone's hand picked up the spray can. I raised my head, following the hand, and a familiar face came into sight. It was Nanjun. He held out his hand. I just kept looking up at him. Nanjun pulled me up. His hand was warm. 𝙽𝚘𝚝𝚎, 7th of April of 2022. I stopped at the sound of a clumsy piano performance. In the dead of night, a fire in a metal drum made crackling sounds in the middle of an empty construction site. I recognized the tune as one I'd been playing not long ago, but made little of it. I walked along carelessly with my eyes closed. I was drunk, staggering and stumbling. With the heat from the fire, the sound of the piano, the night air, and the effect of alcohol all melted away. I came to at the sound of loud honking. The car had just barely missed me. The dazzling lights of the headlamps, the wind stirred up by the car, and the remaining buzz of the alcohol all made me feel giddy. I heard the driver curse. I was about to hurl some back when I realized I couldn't hear the piano anymore. No piano, only the crackling of the blazing fire, the whirring wind, and the sound of cars zipping by. Why had it stopped? Who was playing? A flame jumped out of the drum with a crack and flew up into the dark sky. I looked blankly at the flame turn into pitch black ash and falling to the ground. My face flashed from the heat of the fire. At that moment, I heard a loud bang, as if someone had slammed down on the piano keys with his fists. I looked back instinctively. My blood surged through my body. The nightmare I'd had in my childhood, it was the same sound I'd heard in that nightmare. I started running towards the music shop. I wasn't in control. My body just moved on its own. I felt as if I'd done this countless times. I wasn't sure what it was, but it seemed like I'd forgotten something priceless. Someone was sitting in front of a piano in the music shop with a broken window. It'd been several years, but I recognized his face immediately. I turned my eyes away. I didn't want to get involved in someone else's life. I didn't want to try to console someone who was lonely. I didn't want to be important for someone. I wasn't sure I could protect that someone till the end. I wasn't confident I could stand by that someone till the end. I didn't want to hurt that someone. I didn't want to get hurt. It's hard enough for us to try to save ourselves when the last moment comes, let alone someone else. I bent my steps. I was going to turn away and leave without looking back, but I was approaching the piano before I knew it. I pointed out the wrong note. Janko looked out at me. It was the first time we'd seen each other since I dropped out of school. 𝙽𝚘𝚝𝚎, 11th of April 2022. With a sharp screech, The car barely stopped in time. I didn't see the traffic light change, distracted by other thoughts. Students clad in familiar school uniforms stared at me through the car window as they crossed the road. Some looked at me angrily, some laughed briskly as if making jokes with their friends, some walked with their eyes fixed on their books, and some took a look around while talking on the phone. They all formed a peaceful scene. When the walk signal began to flash, impatient cars budged and steered. Those who jumped into the crosswalk at the last minute hurried across. I stepped on the accelerator. I arrived at the intersection with the gas station in no time. I saw Namjoon filling up a car in the distance. I clenched the steering wheel. I knew what to do, but I didn't mean that I was frightened. Would I be able to put an end to this string of bad campaign? Doesn't repeated failure mean there's no possibility of success? Doesn't it mean we should give up? Is happiness really a vain hope for us? My head was throbbing with these thoughts. I inhaled deeply and exhaled slowly. I thought of the faces of Yoongi, Hoseok, Jimin, Taeyang, and Jungkook one after another. I changed lanes and pulled into the gas station. Namjoon was approaching. I lowered the car window. Long time no see? Namjoon, 11th of April, year 2022. As I finished filling up a car and turned around, something brushed against my cheek and fell to the ground. I took a step back and looked down to find a crumpled banknote at my feet. I bent down and reached for it. The people in the car snickered. I was petrified. Seokjin was watching me in the distance. I couldn't look up. What would I do when I met the eyes of those who drive around in fancy cars and arrogantly sneer at others? I should stand against them. I should stand up for myself if they treat me unfairly. It wasn't a matter of courage, pride, or equality. It was just a matter of course. But this was a gas station and I was a part-timer. I had to pick up the trash thrown out of car windows. I had to just stand there and take it when customers cursed. I had to pick up the banknotes when customers threw them on the ground. I lived that way all my life. It was mortifying, but I had nothing to endure it. I clenched my fists. My nails sank into my flesh. I kept my eyes fixed on the ground when someone else picked up the banknote. The people in the car grumbled at the spoiled fun and pulled away. They were gone, but I didn't raise my head. I just couldn't meet Seokjin's eyes. He already knew how cowardly and poor I was, but I didn't want him to know the naked truth about me. He just stood there on the edge of my side. He didn't come closer or start talking. Jungkook, 11th of April, 2022. Finally, I got my wish. I deliberately bumped into thugs on the street and they beat me thoroughly. I laughed while they did it, so they clobbered me even more, calling me crazy. I leaned against a store shutter and looked up into the sky. It was night. Nothing twinkled in the pitch black sky. A clump of grass came into sight in the distance by a paved road. When the wind blew, the grass lay down on its back. It looked like me. I laughed out loud to keep my tears down. I closed my eyes and saw a vivid image of my stepfather clearing his throat. My stepbrother giggled. My stepfather's relatives turned their eyes away or continued their idle talk. They acted as if I went there. as if my existence meant nothing. Mom was flustered. I stared up dust as I picked myself up off the ground and coughed. The pit of my stomach hurt like I'd been stabbed with a knife. It was a deserted, unfinished building there where construction had been halted. I tightrope walked along the guardrail installed on the rooftop with my arms spread out. I stretched my foot out into the void, and the darkness began to permeate through my toes. The colorful nightscape of the city unfolded down below me. Neon signs, honking cars, and the acrid smell of dust were all jumbled up together in the darkness in a swirling torrent. I felt dizzy and staggered. As I spread my arms out even wider to keep my balance, a thought came to me. Just one more step forward. That's all it would take to end this. I leaned over towards the dark void. The darkness that seeped into my toes sprang up at me as if it gobbled my entire body up. I closed my eyes, and the disorderly city, the noise, and the fear all disappeared. I held my breath and slowly leaned over again. I cleared my head. I didn't think of anyone. I didn't want to leave anything in my head. I didn't want to remember anything. This was the end. My phone rang. I came back to myself as if I awakened from a long dream. All my senses instantly returned to normal. I took out my phone. It was 𝙽𝚘𝚝𝚜. 𝙽𝚘𝚝𝚜, 11th of April 2022. I walked on, paying attention to Jungkook's footsteps following behind me. A string of containers appear along the long stretch of railroad. It's the fourth one from the end. Hoseok said he was meeting with Namjoon and Taehyun and told me to come. I said I would, but I didn't really mean it. I hated getting tangled up with others, and Hoseok knew it. He couldn't have thought that I'd actually showed up. When I opened the door, Hoseok looked surprised. Then, after seeing Jungkook, he came towards us, making that exaggerated gesture of his with a face full of mixed feelings. Jungkook turned away, probably to hide his busted lips. I passed Jungkook and Hoseok and walked into the container. How long has it been? Hoseok, who was trying to hug Jungkook, and Jungkook, who was trying to sidestep his hug, continued to spar with each other. After a little while, Namjoon came in with Taeyang. Taeyang's t-shirt was ripped. We asked what happened, and Namjoon pretended to knuckle Taeyang on the head. This guy got arrested again for his graffiti, so I had to get him out. Taeyang went on about how his t-shirt got ripped as he was trying to run away from the police. I flopped down in one corner and looked at them. Namjoon gave Taeyang a t-shirt to put on, and Hoseok took out hamburgers and drinks. Jungkook was standing there awkwardly, looking around. Come to think of it, we were just like this back in high school. In that classroom turned storage room, Namjoon always got laughed at while trying to reason with Taeyang. Hoseok was always bustling around, and Jungkook always spaced around like he never knew where to stand. How long had it been? I couldn't recall the last time we'd all been together. What happened to Seokjin and Jimin? I wonder, although it wasn't in my character. I'd never been here before, but it felt strangely comfortable. I looked out the door. Suddenly, I felt the urge to run out of this place. A mysterious anxiety floated in after that inexplicable peacefulness. My thoughts settled on that room we used as a hideout in high school. We used to laugh and chat together, but those days were long gone. Likewise, the time we spent here will come to an end. Is there any point to these good feelings, solid sense of belonging, and groundless anticipation? June 11th of April 2022. The light streaming in from the narrow window of the container looked like some kind of signal. A signal that guides us when we're lost. A signal that points to shelter when we have nowhere to go. And a signal that illuminates the friends that stand by us. I parked my car at the corner a little way off from the railroad and watched the others gather following the signal. Hosok first went into the container, followed by Yoongi, Jungkook, Taeyang, and Namjoon. What do they look like now? What are they talking about now? It wasn't that I didn't want to meet them, but it was only the beginning. The time wasn't ripped yet. Someday, we'll all get together again. We'll laugh together amidst that signal. This is as far as I'll go today. I turned my car around. Namjoon, 28th of April 2022. I knew something was wrong with Taeyang. Although he pretended to be fine, his anxiety came through in his behavior, expressions, and voice, no matter how hard he tried. It wasn't about getting arrested for graffiti. To Taeyang, graffiti was a game. It was fun. The burns and bruises that sometimes color his face must be from his violent dad, but that wasn't the reason either. When his face was battered, Taeyang exaggerated even more, acting jovial and talking non-stop. Taeyang seemed to be in an IMA. I didn't press him to talk about it because I decided to wait until he was ready. I also doubted that I was qualified to be the one to listen to his troubles. I tried to act like a big brother and pretended to be mature, but I wasn't there when the others were going through their most difficult times. They said I was mature and grown up, but that wasn't true. Taeyang reminded me of what I experienced in that country village. In fact, the two had nothing in common. I was aware of that when I was living in that country village. But that boy had reminded me of Taeyang, just as Taeyang now reminds me of him. I have a favor to ask. What was the favor? Did the scooter really skid on damn leaves? Were the dogs still backing their heads off? What about my parents? I shook my head. I stood up to force those thoughts to scatter. Just as I was about to step out of the container, Taeyang began tossing and turning like he was having a nightmare. Taeyang awoke with a start when I shook his shoulders and sat there absent-mindedly for a long time. He just let his tears run down his face and rambled on. He said Yoongi died, Jungkook fell off the rooftop, and I got caught in a fight. He said he had had that dream repeatedly. It was so vivid that it felt like reality, and reality felt like a dream. Don't leave me. The face of that boy in the country village was superimposed on Taeyang's face. I couldn't bring myself to give him an answer. I couldn't bring myself to say that he didn't need to worry because I wasn't going anywhere.